What's up, everybody? So, just to let you know, there's another art pod coming in, probably a week from now. There's an art pod that we're going to cover, when people quit at art because of what people say, or how they're feeling, or what mood they're in, or if they think they're losers, or whatever it is. We're going to get into an art pod where we start talking about people that give up, that they just give up in art because of what somebody says about their image or self-esteem, confidence, whatever it is. We're gonna get into into a chat with that. Anyway, let's talk about pivots. What's up, everybody? Okay, so we're gonna learn about pivots today. Now, Unreal used to be absolute garbage when it came to resetting a pivot or moving a pivot permanently. It was the worst. You couldn't do it. Okay, you could move it like a little bit. Something like if you right click, here's the pivot over here, so this is an asset, and what you could do in the past is you could right click and you could say pivot and over there, and you could say pivot offset here, and it would move there, and you could do what you wanted from there. It never worked properly, hey? Or you could rotate it, something like this. It was shit. It really was shit. This is moving weirdly, but it never worked. It was always bad, and as soon as you click off the object and you go back, it would snap exactly where it was. So wherever your mouse was, you could right click, you could say pivot, you could say pivot over here, and then you could do whatever you wanted. In this case, it seems absolutely broken, but as soon as you click off and you click back on, your pivots were evid. Okay. Then they came up with something where you could hold down Alt and middle mouse, hold down middle mouse, and you could move your pivot. And from there, if I moved the object, it would move nicely. I could rotate it. I'm hitting WER for move, rotate, and scale. EWR. EW. But as soon as I click off of it and you go back, the pivot is there again. It resets. Then they came up with something cooler where you could hold down Alt, middle mouse click, and move it to wherever you wanted, and then right click and you could say pivot and set pivot offset. And for that asset, now it's permanently there, which is awesome. It's pretty cool. You can move it around, do whatever the hell you want. But as soon as I bring in another asset, the same shoe, the original asset still has its pivot down there, right? So this asset is unique. I've changed it. But this one is still the vanilla asset from the whatever, from this thing over here. I drag it in, I can put it down, mate. Okay, and the pivot's still there, right? So if I change the pivot of one of these, all it means is that I've changed it for that particular asset. There, right click and say pivot and set this pivot offset. Now I've done it with this one, this one, this one, right? But now let's say I wanted to change the actual root asset, the main asset. How would I do that? Well, they've added something really cool. If you go to settings, plugins over here, you can barely see it, mates. Hit plugins, look up modeling, and enter this modeling tools editor mode beta. Okay, mates, that's the one you're looking for. Modeling tools editor mode, and click that on. It's going to ask you to restart. I've already got it. It'll ask you to restart the whole damn thing, blah 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 blah. And now you can go into modeling mode up here. So selection, you would be in selection mode, but now you can select modeling and click on the modeling mode, which is awesome, mate. I'm just going to open this up a bit. So if yours is also like that, just open it up, just drag it, you'll see all the modeling tools. This is new features, mate. Hey, awesome, mate. All right. So what do we have here? If you scroll kind of down to the bottom under transform, you get pivot. If I hit pivot now I can hit pivot, and you can just use these buttons here: center, bottom, all right, back, front, mate. Okay, wheeled, origin, right, whatever you want it to be, mate. And on top of that, I can go and I can take it and I can move it around. I can hit this little thingy here to open up different views. I can hit F on one of them, so it centers it, mate. I can hit F, make sure you're on the right one. And then you can go ahead and you can start moving your pivot, doing whatever you want, blah blah blah. And once I'm done, I'm going to hit this little square here on this one because I want to enlarge this one to one screen. And once you're done, you can just hit accept, bam, and it puts your pivot down. That's pretty damn awesome. That's pretty damn awesome. That's wicked, mate. Here we go. Got my shoe. And if I wanted to change it again, I could hit the pivot. I could move it wherever I wanted to, and I could say accept, and it'll put my pivot there. Now when I drag in the asset, now you can see it's changed the root asset, the main asset. Okay, so the one thing you should not do is you shouldn't just drag. I'm holding Alt here and left click to duplicate. And let's say I start adding all my assets and I make this cool thing. It's looking cool. Damn, look at this, man. It's shoes. But now what you don't want to do is you don't want to click on this asset and you don't want to change this. Make sure you've changed your asset before, because if you do this now, obviously it updates all the assets. And I hit accept. It's going to change all the assets. You see they all moved. You see? And so if you've put down walls and a million assets and they all look awesome and cool, and you decide to change the pivot, they're all going to move because they're all going to get that same pivot. You see? Not good. Not good. The other thing to note, which is not good, Mike, not good at all, is if I hold down Alt, middle mouse, and I change it like this, and I right click and I say pivot, set pivot offset, right? Now it's over there, right? If I click off of it, click back, it's over there. Now if I say pivot, you see this pivot is all the way back up there. It doesn't register that you've moved it on this asset because it's still taking it from the root asset. So now if I move this, like let's say here, and I say okay, boom, it doesn't know what to do. It kind of averages the two. It doesn't know what to do. So you're not going to get a proper, it's not going to work. Okay, so you can't Alt, middle mouse click and move it and say right click and say pivot, set as pivot. That's still fine, that works. Okay, but as soon as I use that way of doing things, I can't go to pivot and now move it because it's looking from where I planted it last time. So it starts screwing with Unreal and you're getting these weird results. Okay, make sure about that. And now if I bring the shoe in, you can see the pivots in the front because that's where I actually had the pivot. That's where it was supposed to be. Okay, so be careful about that. So my advice is get your asset, make absolute sure that the pivot is correct. The pivot is correct for all your assets. For the main asset, make sure that you got it exactly where you want it for the main asset. Okay, once you've got it for the main asset and you're happy with it, then you can say accept, cool. And now what I can do is now I can duplicate it, Alt left click, and now I can hold Alt middle mouse button and I can move its children. I can move the children and set those. Pivot, set pivot, and now the root's there, this one's there. As soon as I move the root though, as soon as I go back here and I do this whole pivot crap, as soon as I move this, it's going to update and it's going to screw this one up. Okay, you can see it's totally screwed up now. Make sure you get your pivots correct here first. Raw ear, mate. Raw ear first. Accept it, and then if you make any duplicates after that, you're good to go. Then you can just Alt move it wherever you want because these are unique assets now. Right click and pivot, set pivot offset. So there's this one. Remember, this is like the daddy. It's your main asset. It's your main asset that's in your project. Every time I bring in one of these, it's going to be where you put it, which is the top. Okay? And because it's at the top, you can do things like this. Okay? But after you've set it, make sure you don't change it. Make sure you don't change it. It's children or the duplicates. You can go mental. You can go mental, mate. You can change it. You can put it down here, mate. Then you can get a nice toe tap like that. Right click, pivot, all right, and then do something like this. Well, this one's doing this. Okay. So remember, make sure your actual pivot is perfect from the modeling menu. This is how you change your main asset. After that, when you duplicate, then you can use your Alt middle mouse button. Make sure you unmove Alt middle mouse button, and you can change your children. Okay, and then you can right click and say pivot, set as pivot, done. Okay, but you can't go to pivot here now because that's where your pivot is, and now it's telling you what the hell going on here. Das ist richtig ganze nicht so cool, oder? So if I move this and I accept, I'm messing everything up. I'm messing this one up, I'm messing this one up, I'm messing everything up. Okay, anyway guys, I hope that helped. And this is a nice way of starting to ease into Unreal Engine. This tool's amazing. This is the tool that I've been waiting for forever. I had to use plugins before. They weren't very expensive plugins, but you always had to wait for them to get onto the next versions and stuff. But this here is absolutely incredible. I can't believe you've got these kind of tools now inside of Unreal. This is awesome. This is a game changer, and we're going to start easing into Unreal Engine. Okay. Anyway, hope this helps, and I'll speak to you guys later. Bye guys.